Hippocampus is a bony fish. It looks like horse and hence it is called seahorse. This fish shows an interesting reproductive feature. The males in seahorses have a pouch at the base of their abdomen. This pouch is called brood pouch. Female seahorses pour fertilized eggs in this pouch, and their complete embryonic development takes place inside this brood pouch on abdomen of male fish. After 1.5 months, the hatchlings are born from this brood pouch. This is an interesting reproductive feature found in seahorses. Hello friends, this is Lakshmiraman Oza from Samarth Biology Tutorials Latur, and you are watching SBTL webcasts. The idea of consciousness in Indian scripture that revolves around an interesting notion, and that notion is Ekoham Bahusyam. The consciousness says as if I was existing, I was existence, I was the only existence that has diversified into all these visible things in this universe. Diversity is an important feature of living organisms. There are millions of species, various different life forms from a single microscopic microbe or a cell or a bacterium or some kind of protist, and they exist up to even taller trees like sequoias and giant whales in the ocean. Life exists in the form of a wonderful diversity. Life is also characterized by an interesting feature, and that is continuity of life. Life perpetuates itself. It makes, it reproduces similar forms. That is reproduction, the sixth characteristic feature of living organisms. Living organisms reproduce their similar forms. A German scientist, his name was Rudolf Virchow. He was a German physician. In 1885, suggested that a cell is produced from a pre-existing cell. A cell division should be taking place there. Omnis cellula e cellula in Latin language. A cell reproduces itself. There must be a cell that pre-existed when a new cell is formed. That was the idea of Rudolf Virchow, which actually expressed the concept of cell division, and that further motivated various different scientists to look at this concept of cell division. In higher plants like angiosperms, the reproductive structure is flower. Flower has 4 structures in it. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. They are present in groups which are encircled, and hence they are called whorls, floral whorls. The outermost floral whorl is calyx, then the corolla, then the androecium, and the innermost one is gynoecium. Bryophytes are called amphibians of plant kingdom. Just take example of an amphibian. Amphibian like a frog. They reproduce in water. They release their gametes in water and the fertilization takes place there. They need water for their fertilization, that is external fertilization. Then the fertilized eggs, they hatch into larvae, which eventually their metamorphosis takes place into adult frogs. Similarly, in mosses, the reproduction requires water. The fertilization of gametes that requires water. Let's take example of a moss. In mosses, the green part of their entire morphological structure, that is known as gametophyte. It is haploid. This gametophyte produces two reproductive structures. The male reproductive structure in them is called antheradium, and the female reproductive structure in them is called archegonium. Droplet of water that falls on these microscopic gametophytes, that carries gametes from antheradia to archegonia, and fertilization takes place there. Once this fertilization has taken place, then the diploid zygote that grows into a structure, that is the non-green structure at the top of these gametophytes. These structures are called sporophytes. Sporophytes have two sets of chromosomes because they develop from zygote. And these sporophytes are non-green, and hence they depend upon gametophyte. At the top of these sporophytes, there is a capsule. There are diploid spore mother cells in these capsules, which undergo meiosis, reductional division, and that again divides these sets of chromosomes into cells, and haploid spores are produced in these capsules. These haploid spores, they are released into air. Once they find a favorable environment, favorable condition, they start producing a thread-like structure that grows from spores, and this structure is called protonema. Proto means first and nema is thread. This thread-like structure that is below the soil gives rise to again the haploid gametophyte. New gametophytes are produced from these spores. This is how the life cycle continues in bryophytes, the mosses. Mosses depended upon water for reproduction. But then they evolved into pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are called first true land plants. Ferns are their example. All these groups, algae, bryophyte and pteridophyte, they lack seeds. But evolution of land plants that continued, and that resulted into formation of seed plants. First appeared the gymnosperms. The plants like conifers or cycads, these plants, they have ovule only, and hence they produce seeds only. While they evolved into angiosperms. In angiosperms, the ovule is present inside the ovary, and after fertilization, after the double fertilization in them, The ovary develops into fruit and ovule develops into seed. The reproduction in gymnosperms results into formation of only seeds without any fruit around them. While the reproduction in angiosperms results into formation of seeds, those are covered by fruit, and that gives them the name angiosperm. Angium means wall, a structure that has a wall and it surrounds spores, that is called sporangium. So, angiosperms are the plants in which the seeds are surrounded by fruits because the ovules are surrounded by ovary. Recycling of elements is essential from living world to non-living world and vice versa. That needs decomposition of dead organic matter, and that is done by bacteria and one more member, that is the kingdom fungi. Fungi are decomposers essentially. They live on dead organic matter. That matter is decomposed and the nutrients are obtained by fungi. They form an essential part of entire living world, the ecosystem. Fungi show enormous diversity. While they show a similarity with arthropods, arthropods have an exoskeleton that molts periodically. Just like the skin of snake molts and it is replaced by new skin, similarly, arthropods molt their outer shell and that is replaced by new one. After molting, these arthropods, they start secreting, their outer surface of skin starts secreting a chemical that is chitin. The similarity between arthropods and fungi is fungi also have a cell wall that is made up of the same substance, that is chitin. Fungi decompose the dead organic matter, while one more interesting thing to note that their reproduction also depends upon spore disposal and their germination
into thread-like structures. As we learnt in case of mosses, those thread-like structures were called as protonema. In case of fungi, these thread-like structures are called hyphae, and their entire network is known as mycelium.
So, here we discussed few of reproductive features of living organisms. I told you some examples from the textbook of CBSE biology that is prescribed by NCERT, and we discussed couple of other examples also. Reproduction is the characteristic feature of living organisms. The life cycles we discussed, those we will go in comprehensive details while studying those topics. But here this was simply an introductory part that could explain some of the terms those are given in your textbook. So thanks again for listening me so kindly, friends, and see you again in the next lecture. This is Lakshmi Raman Oza from Samarth Biology Tutorials, and you are watching SBTL webcasts.